All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. I am Jeff Reinholtz, Senior Partner Manager with Datto. Welcome to MSP Insights. Today, I am so very lucky to be joined by Eric Marcus, CEO of Marcus Networking. Marcus, how are you?
Good, great. Good morning. How you doing?
We're doing well. Thanks for hanging out with me today. So, Eric, I was excited for you to jump in, spend 20 to 30 minutes with us at MSP Insights. Share a little bit of your story. You've been an unbelievably successful entrepreneur. You've grown your MSP. You've been highly strategic about your growth. But I'd love for you to take a minute, talk to us a little bit about where and how you got your start in the world of running and owning an MSP.
Yeah, so thanks for all the compliments there. In my early 20s, I worked for a startup company. And as you probably know, with startups come a lot of instability. And while I was working there, I had many roles, managing the telephone system, the internet connectivity, the IT systems, things like that. And what I noticed is there weren't many companies when I hired them that could come out and do one thing. So I'd have to hire a cabling guy, I'd have to hire someone to work on the telephone system, and then they'd end up pointing fingers at each other. And one day, I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna leave the startup company, I'm gonna start my own company, and I'm gonna be a boutique shop that's going to provide all of these services and allow customers to just call us and we're going to say, hey, we can do that for you and we can do it well.
So it's interesting to hear that you took your experience and really started to architect a boutique, because I think that that's always one of these great business drivers when you're beginning to start your business, because you can have great agility and make decisions without feeling as though you need to run it past 3 or 4 or 5 people to go, yeah, we can actually do that in the business. You're going to go, no, it's the right thing to do. We do that now.
Yep.
And have that agility. When you were going through those initial phases and really beginning to architect what would be a boutique experience for your business, did you find it difficult to find and hire the right people that believed in the same vision of service delivery that you have? Or was it an easy process because people said, you know what, I see this company and I align to it? But can you share a little bit about what the recruiting process was when you thought about hiring the right people?
Yeah, I mean, hiring the right people is always a challenge. It's still a challenge 20 years later from when I started the company. But I was very lucky early on when I started consulting for about a year. I decided to hire another staff member because we were growing, had more business than I could handle on my own. So I was really lucky because I knew somebody. I knew somebody that was fresh out of college that was looking to pursue a career in IT. I was able to kind of mold them, shape them to the idea of what I wanted to deliver, or our vision, if you will, right, to the customers that we had. And they were, young enough and eager to learn. And so I think that was very easy for them to get on board. They're going to get paid, right? They get to do what they want to do and love it, and they're going to learn. So for us, I call it luck, but I think delivering the right vision to recruiting people and also to your clients is kind of the way to go.
When did you think you really had a business? When was that aha moment going, all right, this thing makes sense. Like we're actually making money now. We're not making payroll, but we're making money. When was that moment for you?
Yeah, I think that moment, I started the company in 2002. I think it was around 2004, 2005. I had hired my third employee, and we had payroll service. I mean, it went from a 1099 to a real W-2. I was paying taxes to the federal government, and I went, oh man, this is a real business now. Now we really have something to go after.
So thinking a little bit about that, you've grown, you've validated the business. Your community is telling you that ultimately you've got something that they want to consume when you think about your service, right, within your business. One thing that stood out to me when I was doing a little bit of research on you and your organization was one of these aha moments in the development was the direct to tech methodology. Can you share a little bit about what that was? And I think even to today, what makes you stand out? Because I don't think a lot of people can stand that up, in all honesty. It's a really impressive feat.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That was kind of my vision from the very beginning. I hated calling any type of business and having someone answer the phone. Okay, we'll create a ticket for you, or, oh, let me get your number and I'll call you back in an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. What we strive to deliver is reliability and consistency. And by doing that, it gets us more and more customers every single day. So you talk about our SLA, which is basically a minute or less, we're answering the phone, right? We're fielding 3,000 calls a month. We're answering the phone in less than a minute in our own office. We're not outsourcing. We're not cheating it by having someone answer the phone, take a phone number and call them back. We just staff appropriately. We're hiring the right amount of people to answer the phone. And like you mentioned, be a direct to tech environment. So all of our staff, when they answer that phone, they're getting to work on your problem and creating a ticket and getting started. What that brings to our customers is reliability and consistency. They know they can call us. They know we're going to answer the phone in a reasonable amount of time, and they know we're going to get to work for them. And really, when I started the company, I wanted to meet that expectation because the level of customers that we had, which were hospitals, doctors, things like that, I did market research and I learned if a doctor's down for 15 minutes or more with their EMR system, they could lose thousands of dollars. So if I walked into a doctor's office and said, hey, how long have you been down? And when did your IT company call you back? And they say, oh, it's been 4 hours. I could talk business with them and get them to understand my model. And they would immediately go, we're in. Where do we sign?
Smart. It's really smart. And especially when you think about the doctor's office and the MRs, you're spot on. What stands out as you're explaining and telling a little bit of your story right there, Eric, is I love how you did two things. Number one, what stands out is you did your research, right? You specifically knew who you wanted to go after, and you
Yeah.
understood when they lose money and what was the business impact and could speak to it, right? Really
Yep.
smart play. The other thing too that stands out to me when I think about this direct to tech strategy that you were able to deploy, to me that tells me you knew your business. When I say you knew your business, not only did you understand technology, but for you to be able to deploy that, you know your numbers inside your business. Operationally,
Yeah.
you know all the different moving components. Was this something that you had spent a lot of time on early on going, hey, you know what? I've got this equation. I believe it to be true. X amount of calls, X amount of time. Here's what the impact is. Here's how quickly we can go in and understand it and resolve it. Is this something you're continuing to evolve and grow within the process of your business? Because I find that to be really fascinating and also really impressive, because that's a special sauce right there.
Yeah, I think everything in business is evolving. If you're not, I think you're a fool.
Yeah.
No disrespect to anybody out there, but it's never going to be nailed down, right? Everything, every process you have in place should be broken. And that's how I look at it. As you grow with revenue, you should be breaking your processes, because that means as you're bringing in more money and more clientele, more staff, you're breaking those processes and building better ones. Being static to me means I'm dying. I need something to do every day. So to your point about market research and different vertical markets, the answer is yes. When we want to go into a different vertical market, I spend hundreds of hours or as much time as I possibly can investigating how a client makes money, what are their pain points. And I'll give you a perfect example. I have a client in the agricultural business that does millions of dollars a year in produce. They grow it, they ship it, they sell it. And when they have produce sitting on a truck ready to leave and they can't print a pallet tag, that could be $1 million worth of produce sitting in a cooler right now. That pallet tag printer could be $5,000. You're in the middle of nowhere on a farm, and guess what? If you can't ship your produce, you lose that $1 million of produce, because farmers or growers or distribution aren't going to wait around for your produce to show up. They'll just buy it from somebody else. And so what I've learned in the agricultural business is, well, hey, we should have redundancy in everything, right? Not only computers and backup internet, but we should have redundant pallet tag printers. We should have redundant barcode scanners. And once I explain to the grower or the produce company, whatever it might be, what's at risk, they look at me and they kind of laugh and they go, well, get 3 of them, because for $5,000, we don't care. If we miss $1 million load of fruit, we're in trouble, right? So, those are the types of things that I try to invest my time into. And I sit down with the business owner, owner to owner, to understand their industry. Sometimes I'll spend days shadowing them just to learn as much as I can and find the deficiencies in that industry. That makes us more profitable. It allows the other business owner to run around to all their friends and brag about it, which gets us more business. Look at what my guy's doing for me. Is your guy doing that?
It's impressive. It's really impressive to hear that you do that, because again, I think it also leads into a great moment in time that I think every MSP leader needs to hear. You earn respect. The respect is
Yes.
there, right? Somebody's looking at you where you've taken the time. And again, I will go in this direction. They respect your knowledge in the world of tech to understand what you can do to keep them up and available and running.
Yeah.
But it's that additional layer of guidance and thoughtful direction that people walk out of there going, it might have been a no-brainer, but Jesus, how come I'm not doing that? Right?
Right.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Thank you for telling me that. I love that you do that. And I think, again, where this changes a lot of the narrative, where so many MSPs that are trying to get their start are really starting to get into a growth mode, they become order takers, right? How often do you see people in and around the MSP community that are like, oh, well, we're kind of we're a break fix shop. We'll do whatever you want us to do and we'll do it. It's fine, but it's not sustainable, number one. And number two, do you have the respect of those that are actually potentially going to be becoming your client, right? Moving
Right.
into what you just hit on, where someone wants to sit across the table with you and go, wait, you want to hang out with me and understand my business for a couple of days? Yeah, let's go do that. And then from there, I'm going to take a step back, give you good recommendations, and we can figure out what were the business outcomes based on my recommendations and see the business impact. I absolutely love you take that approach.
Well, I think the other thing to your point is that it builds a relationship, right? Our business and any business should be based on relationships. This client that I just mentioned, Produce, I've worked with for 20 years. One of my first clients, great guy, great company, kind of gives me carte blanche to do whatever I need to do because at this point in time, he knows I've got his back. I have his best interests at heart. And I truly do. As all of our customers grow, we grow, right? I mean, a lot of these doctors' offices, I've got one now that's taking on another 6,000 square feet. They've already got 14,000 and they're going to add 30 more computers. Well, they do a great job. And as they grow, we grow, right? 30 more computers a month, more money for us, more
Yep.
managed services, more software support, those types of things. So investing in your clients is not only what can I sell them, but it's also building a relationship, and it gives you the longevity and the comfort of knowing I'm going to have a piece of revenue, maybe for the rest of my life, as long as they're in business. So it's a lot of give and take. Obviously through COVID, we had a lot of give. We didn't charge a lot of our clients, to move everybody home and move everybody back, but they also allowed us, or I should say, they also appreciated it. They made a point to say, Eric, we really appreciate you're not kind of hitting us while we're down right now. We know that you'll take care of us forever. We'll take care of you. Don't worry, hang in there with us. And it really has come back tenfold. Now as the economy is coming back for us and our clients, they're spending money like crazy.
So do you think, and again, taking a look at your history now, going on probably better part of 20 years in the industry?
20 years now. Yeah, this January will be our 20th year in business.
So obviously you've seen a lot of shops come in and say they're going to be the next best thing to sliced bread in the MSP community, in and out of where you're at. What do you think are some of the biggest mistakes they make as they try to get their feet in the space and find out that either they can't cut it or potential clients can't depend on it? But what do you see? What do you think are some of these big mistakes people make?
I think the biggest mistake is that people try to come in and undercut us. Being the cheapest is not the best. I know that. I can tell you that from experience. I initially, when I started the company, wanted to come in and undercut everything and anything I could. However, I wasn't selling our value and making our clients realize what our value was. Our value is reliability. Our value is you can call me morning, noon, or night and know that I'm going to answer the phone, and know that I may not know the answer, but I'm going to take the task from you. I'm going to create that ticket and auto task, and I'm going to run with it. And I'm going to get a solution for you as fast as I can so you can go on to run your business. And that's really, at the end of the day, what we're delivering. And I don't think other companies that have tried to come in and undercut us are selling that value. And by no means are we perfect as a company. Everybody makes mistakes, but I don't think that, particularly in our market, in Arizona, there's a lot of our competitors that can come in and go toe to toe with us with the processes that we have in place and the software that we use that we have in place that gives us that advantage.
I think it's smart. And I think, again, to your point, let's take a look at how you're leveraging technology, right?
Yeah.
Selfishly, you just hit on it. You talked about leveraging AutoTask. But again, it's the ability where you can let technology take over. And I think you've got to appreciate from a leadership perspective, best understand tickets, ticket types, resolution times, time spent, right? Where is the level of effort going into? Best understanding, and this is what I used to love in my previous life as an MSP, but understanding different ticket types and how much time it was taking for different individuals versus taking a look at the average, right? Are you performing
Yeah.
above, below? And then for us, what we loved about that, they would create actually coaching opportunities because people would come back and go, "Oh, what if you fall above the average? Oh, did you penalize somebody?" I go, "No, it was coaching." Right?
Yeah.
It's that opportunity to go, "Hey, you should go spend some time with Bill Smith. Bill was actually able to do this in about a quarter of the time. He's got to have some secrets that you can learn from." So it's cool to see how you're leveraging Autotask. What do you think is one or two of the biggest things you find that benefits your business when you take a look at Autotask today?
We've been an Autotask user for I think 14 years now, so it's a bit nuts
Yeah.
how long we've been involved in the product. From when we signed on, it only worked in Internet Explorer, and it never worked on a Mac, and then it didn't work in Google. So I mean, we've seen it all. But I'll say, today, what provides the most value to me with Autotask is not just in general what Autotask provides, right? Ticketing and contracts and all that kind of stuff. That's all great, but I think at this point in time, software-wise, that's an industry standard. What puts Autotask or Datto ahead of the game in my mind and lets me be a successful business owner is that I can create these custom dashboards with these custom widgets that give me all the statistics I want. So when I have a customer call, which it doesn't happen often, but I'll have a customer call and complain about something, so-and-so didn't get back to me in time, or, I wasn't happy with this resolution. I can fall back on a few things. One is I have a dashboard with a widget that shows me our average SLA for the past 90 days, right? And I can show the customer, well, listen, we're at 98% SLA in responding in the first 5 minutes and creating a ticket. Go find another company that can do that because it doesn't really exist in our marketplace.
Oh.
That usually, when I show that widget, that calms them down. But then the other option is, which Autotask allows, is you guys have a survey feature. So when the ticket gets completed, the customer has the opportunity to fill out a nice little survey to tell us if we're great or if we're terrible. And you know what? 99% of the time, people don't fill them out. That's okay. But it also gives me a leg up because I can tell the customer, I gave you an option to tell me I did a bad job. You elected to ignore it. So how am I going to know? Right. So those are just two examples of what I use day in, day out with customers. And it really is a learning or a teaching moment, not only for me, but for my customer. And I have a lot of customers that will then say, well, I didn't think of it that way. You know what? Next time I'm going to fill out that survey, or I'm going to shoot you an email, and I'm not just going to call you out of the blue, because they know that I care. And I do tell them, hey, good or bad, I want to know. I mean, good or bad, I need to go tell our staff you did a great job, or, hey, you made a mistake. Like you said, hey, it took you too long to do this. Maybe you need to go work with Bill Smith and learn how to fix that faster.
I love the approach that you're taking with that. And it's interesting you talk about the CX feature at the end to gather the feedback, because one thing, again, I'll pull from a previous life, and I used to love this, is we would openly share. To your point, give us feedback. Let us know how we did. Were we great or did we fall short? But what we would do too is we brought it back in a couple different directions, that we'd share alerts on big boards regarding, number one, if somebody did a great job, we'd highlight it, right?
Yeah.
Taking a look, I'll call it the traditional knock, but if somebody just knocked it out of the park, you want to showcase and take a look at it. Look what, again, we'll reference Bill Smith, but look how great Bill did. But we also had another functionality where we do alerts for ourselves as senior leaders in the organization, where if somebody fell short, we get a notification along with the individual that was associated to the ticket.
Yep.
And what we liked about this was going, wait a second, we closed this thing too early, we missed, and allowing that person who fell short to go, let me follow back up with you. Obviously, there wasn't something done or there was a miscommunication. We wanted to empower them, not hide the scores, because I think that's another thing a lot of MSPs make a mistake on, is going, we're going to gather all this data over the month. We're going to get your feedback, what went well, what didn't. And then when we have our monthly review, I'm going to give you all that feedback. And next thing you know, you walk up and someone goes, well, you know what? Your customer effort score out of 5 being great. You know, you're at a 2.9. They're going,
Yeah.
no, I don't. Right. And that person walks out defeated versus going, wait a second, give me an opportunity, to your point earlier, right? It's not about perfection. I think it's about progress for a lot of folks. And when we identify these little moments where you can go, let's get you some coaching or opportunities of where we fell short and then close that loop again. I think everybody wins, right? Because at the end of the day, let's think about the client.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. And there's two things I'd like to add to that is you can't wait a month to coach somebody. It needs to be that day, that moment, because we're in such a dynamic business. You're going to forget about it. I mean, it's really that simple. You know, we can't talk about tickets from last week because we're in the moment this week, right? We have so much going on every single day and things are changing. So we also, like you had mentioned earlier, every single survey score goes to upper management and goes to the actual technician. They know immediately. And our technicians care. I mean, our technicians, you know, if they're getting a 4 out of 5 on average or a 4.83, they're going, well, why didn't I get a 5 out of 5, right? Some are just impossible to get a 5 out of 5. And we talk about that in our monthly meeting. We have a staff meeting every month. We do employee of the month. We do a catered lunch. We talk about our hits and misses. We talk about how we can strive to be a better company. We talk about, you know, customers maybe that aren't a good fit for us, which sounds a little crazy. A lot of MSPs and a lot of businesses think everybody's a fit for them. We have a fitment meeting, right? We go through when we meet clients and we talk about, you know, are they going to be a good fit for us? Do we have the same philosophies? Do we believe in improving technology? Or are they one of those that wants to ride it out for 7 years and try to patch something, right? So we're always trying to be better, but we're also trying to get our staff to constantly evolve and become more mature and, you know, and better staff members as well. Not that they're bad today, but everybody has to grow.
And I think you hit on a great point there, right? Where you think about the investment in people, having a good open dialogue and narrative is number one. Do you have good alignment? Do you have good alignment with the person and as well as the client? Because we all know that we've all had those moments where you thought you've had an ideal client. They're a great monthly billable, and all of a sudden you've got a couple techs assigned to it, and it's oil and water, right? Things are not working well. But I love that willingness to go in and go, time out. I think we need to make a little bit of an adjustment here and figure out, does this work? Because I think sometimes you're going round hole square peg. Let's just make it fit. It's 11K a month. We need to get this thing going. I mean, let's get it going. We're going, hold on. I think we need to recalibrate it. You're highly talented, but I think we need to bring in a new person and really listen.
Well, also that 11K a month could be a $2,000 loss a month.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I've learned over time, which again, Autotask dashboards, keep going back to that with widgets, right? We have a profitability for each account. We know where we need to be. And $11,000 a month is great for cash flow. But if you're losing $2,000 a month managing it, it's not the right client.
Spot on. You're absolutely spot on. So let me ask you, because we were hitting a little bit on the professional development of people and talking about, I think, more of what I would consider the EQ moments, right? The emotional intelligence, the communication, things like that I think a lot of the tools can help out with. I'd love to get your perspective on the other side of the fence, the IQ. And what we hear a lot right now in the tech industry is this digital transformation, right? People are moving so unbelievably quick to these new modern environments where we are consistently, you know, if you're like me, you turn on Sunday football and you see AWS running more and more of the cloud and data and information, right? It's bombarding. I knew they were winning in spaces when my wife began to ask me, she goes, what's the cloud? I'm like, okay, this is the new normal, right? But what are you finding more and more of your clients and prospects asking about digital transformation or getting to the cloud and wanting to know more about? Another big one is cybersecurity and threats and vulnerabilities. But what are you hearing right now where you're at right now in the country?
Yeah, so right now, a lot of our clients ask about the cloud. My first question when someone says, hey, how do we move to the cloud? I immediately say, well, what does the cloud mean to you? There are too many TV commercials that depict the cloud as Cox Communications just did one. They show a bunch of kids playing with a 3D printer and they say, Cox offers GigaBlast to your home, you know, get in the cloud. Well, what does that even mean? I mean, what does a 3D printer have to do with the cloud and the kids building a toy? And but customers see it and they think, well, hey, this could improve my business. Now, in reality, a lot of people, have moved to some version of the cloud, like Office 365 or SharePoint or OneDrive or Dropbox, and that's great. That's a very simple platform to move to that will never go away. However, it's brought a lot of confusion to our customers, and it's also brought a lot of cost. What a lot of people don't understand is cloud may not be today, it may be 5 years from now, the right fit for them. So I kind of let the TV commercials do the dirty work for us, if you will. And we talk about it with our customers, but I know where our 200 customers on a monthly retention are at. I know when they need to go to the cloud. We have those conversations with our clients, and I tell them, hey, I've got your back. When it becomes affordable or when it becomes the right time to replace your servers, we're going to look at the investment of what it is to move to the cloud and what the ongoing investment is. And then we're going to determine together if it's the right fit for you. What that does is, in my opinion, is set them at ease and know I've got their back. Number one, right? Investments and relationships and being reliable, like we talked about. But it also takes the burden off of them, and they can just go back to running their business, being a doctor, growing produce or in manufacturing, things like that, and move on with it. What's good for me is I get to kind of tailor over the next couple of years where we're going to go with the cloud and what solutions pop up, because I think there's still a massive amount of opportunity to be in the cloud, and some of that doesn't exist today. It could exist in 6 months from now. Someone could develop a platform that's easier or a lower barrier of cost of entry to get into the cloud. But you're right, Amazon, AWS, Microsoft Azure, they're all great platforms, but they're harder for small businesses to get into because it's an ongoing cost that they're not used to paying for.
And I think you hit on a great point, because you look at two things, right? Like everyone's going, oh, I need to get to the cloud. The realization, time out. Let's think about CapEx, OpEx. Just bought a bunch of brand new servers. Don't throw them out. Let's not do that. But I love the thoughtful direction you do approach this with, going, let's roadmap it, right? Historically, where can this potentially make sense, fit the best for you? And to me, I think we become even more comfortable saying there's probably more of a give and take in a hybrid environment right now, where you've got on-prem, you're still very comfortable with your physical devices, understanding what is the realities of getting into the cloud. Because I think the other part too, what not a lot of people talk about, is once you get into the cloud, you just don't set and forget it. You need to optimize your cloud.
Yeah.
So it's that other net new conversation that happens, going, okay, you're there. Now we need to optimize your spend, what it's associated to, and everything that you're doing. And I absolutely love your approach. So,
well,
go ahead.
One of the other things, sorry to cut you off there. One of the other things that I guess a selfish plug to us is that I don't think a lot of MSPs have the tech or the telecom background, right? So we're a low voltage licensed contractor. We understand fiber, we understand bandwidth throughput, wireless throughput, heat map studies, things like that. So as everybody wants to transition to the cloud, even through COVID, as an example, we had a lot of clients that were in different manufacturing businesses that were in the cloud. However, they didn't have enough bandwidth to send everybody home. And I mean bandwidth being internet, right? The internet providers, even in a big metropolitan area of Phoenix, Arizona, didn't have the throughput to sustain end users. So we had a lot of phone calls from people that were sent home to work accessing the cloud, and it was too slow. They didn't like it. They had to end up, getting into a terminal server at the main office. And that's even with a hybrid approach. So we really try to, over the years, as we move our clients to the cloud, whether that's a hosted VoIP solution or a hybrid solution for servers, et cetera, take into account everything, every bit of it.
I love it. I love the direction, and I love the thoughtfulness. And here's what you need to know, but by the way, here are the realities of it, right?
Absolutely.
Theory versus concept, two totally different ideas, especially when it comes to technology. So
absolutely.
I got $1 million question for you. I love to ask this to all of our guests. Thinking a little bit about your journey, going to be 20 years you're coming up on in your career, being a CEO, your focus on the evolution of the business and growth. Hitting back on this, what would be that bit of wisdom you would share with your younger self, just getting started into the business? What are you telling the younger version of Eric Marcus?
I would say three things.
Okay.
The first is patience. Learn to have it, right? I still struggle with it every day, 20 years later. Don't be afraid to be wrong, right? Everyone's too afraid to be wrong in this day and age. And I think the third is it's okay to not have the answer immediately. It's okay to tell a customer or anybody in any relationship, your wife, your husband, whatever it is, to say, hey, I don't know right now, but I know how to go get that answer. Give me a couple minutes, give me an hour, give me a half hour, give me something. And what I've learned over the years is just, if you just acknowledge what the person wants and give them a little bit of validation that you're going to figure it out, and then you deliver on it, obviously, right, to be reliable and consistent, like we've talked about. I think that's the winning, that's the secret sauce, if you will. Just do what you promised you said you're going to do.
I love it. Stick to your word. You put it on paper, go do
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
That's great feedback. And I think it's great advice for anybody that's getting their start, or anybody that's out there starting to figure out, why am I not growing? Why am I not getting better?
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Why do I feel like I've been stagnant for 5 or 6 years? I think those 3 tidbits can work for a lot of folks, not only in their business, but to your point, take a look at your personal life too.
Yep, absolutely.
Eric, I absolutely love the 30 minutes we got to hang out today.
Thanks for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I'd like to thank you and look forward to you continuing to be a great dental partner. Thanks so much.
Thanks, appreciate it.